Over to you, Debajit.
Thank you, Vipin. Welcome, everyone. I already see 100 plus people, and it's always a pleasure on the Saturday afternoon to join you for the crack sessions. I'm extremely delighted, guys. I have no words for welcoming Deepak on the session today. Welcome, Deepak, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I think the pleasure is equally mine, and look forward. Thanks, Debajit.
Great, guys. So as Vipin mentioned, we have picked up something really interesting today, and I can see already a lot of chats that came up to me, a lot of posts that came up to me asking what all will we cover today, and what is this whole thing of networking about, and how can we get better and better at it as the time goes by? Why is it so important in our lives? And are there any standard rules, standard principles which we can cover while we are networking? Before I start, therefore, interestingly, let me ask you two quick questions through a poll that I would want to share with all of you. You can see these questions that have come to your screen. The people on in the session today, why don't you quickly choose the answers to the two questions? The first question goes like, how good are your networking skills on a scale of 1 to 10? So rate yourself. Choose one option among the 5 options that you can see. I would choose myself right now a 6 to 7, because I think there are a lot of things that I still need to improve on, and there are some things that I'm doing. You can choose yours. Second question goes like, on a social media platform, let's say like LinkedIn, and there are various others, whom do you normally send your connection requests to? It could be same domain professionals, it could be office colleagues, it could be college batchmates, it could be industry leaders, it could be people following your passion, or it could be completely random. You can choose one of your answers there. And the last question is, if you can tell us how many sessions have you attended by Crack so far? Is this your first session? Have you attended all the sessions? Or is it somewhere in between? Is it the second, third, fourth, fifth sessions? Okay, I have submitted mine, and I would encourage everyone to submit their answers also, and post that we can see the results on the screen. People can mention on the chat group if they have submitted. I can see Preetham already have mentioned. Yeah, Navpreet saying done. That helps. Bhavna saying done. Mani saying done. Many dones coming in. Shubham saying done. Yeah, I've got around 25, 30 dones already. 72% have done yet, as I can see through the graph. Just the last 30 seconds, maybe of finishing. Quickly finish the poll, guys, so that we can see the results on the screen. Okay, so here we have the results on the screen. Very interesting results. I think a lot of you followed me in the 6 to 7 category in terms of how are your networking skills. 39%, 36% feel that they are below average, and 10% feel they are absolutely downright not great. 3%, 10 of you feel that you're great at networking. Maybe you can help Deepak and me while taking the session on your views also. We look forward to that. On the second question, we see 25% people send requests to industry leaders. Interesting, 24%, almost equal people send requests to domain professionals. That's where you want to network. Normally, 17% are random. That's an interesting one. College batchmates, 7%. Interesting. 52% of you mentioned that this is the first session. So half the audience right now, I have 150 odd people in the session, mention that I'm attending it for the first time, and about half of them have attended it before. Very interesting. Good inputs to start the session with. I will therefore now project my screen and take you through this interesting journey. I hope all of you can see the screen. So guys, as I would want to lay down the agenda, clearly the agenda in front of you. I would take the first 15 minutes where I'll explain you the what and why. What is networking and why is it so important for all of us? Then I would tell you the types of networkers, and I would urge you to look at whether you are one of them. क्या आप भी उनमें से एक हो जो मैं आपको दिखाने वाला हूँ? And there's a specific reason why I'm showing you the types of networkers. Then comes an interesting part, which is how do you network? Deepak will take you to that session. Where he'll explain the various strategies on how you can network. Then I take you about 5 minutes of social media networking. It's the talk of the town. How do you network on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Insta, on Twitter? What are the various standard mechanisms to do social media networking? And Deepak will finish the session with some of the myths and tips that you can carry forward for networking as a whole. So starting with the what, in what is networking, I have intentionally put that picture because a lot of us are not absolutely clear when we talk about what networking is all about. In a very simple definition, as I try to do in most of the sessions, networking is the process of creating a fabric of personal contacts. Focus on the word personal because it is something that you are not necessarily doing for a certain purpose. A lot of times it's about increasing your personal bandwidth, and therefore it's personal contacts which will open doors for you and provide support, provide feedback, provide insights, provide resources, and provide information. Each one of these words are critical in our overall growth, both personally and professionally. Providing support, feedback, very important. A lot of times feedback is not provided by our close ones and even by people in office. Insights, how can we grow professionally and personally? Resources, a lot of times these resources are not available to us and we might need them from time to time. So this is a basic definition of why networking is important. Very interestingly, some of the people that I was speaking to while preparing the deck for the session told me that we feel uneasy to network because we feel that we are going to ask something from someone. This is a myth, guys. You need to break this myth. And one of the most important reasons of why you should network is because networking is about giving and sharing and not about taking. If your primary reason जिसके लिए आप network कर रहे हो could be focused on giving and therefore making sure that the person with whom you network benefits, I think you will be in the best stead. Various other reasons of why you network. First is access to valuable private information. So if you're networking, you would always want that you're getting information that otherwise you would not get from that particular person in a public forum. So very important. Are you getting access to public information? Important reason to network. Second is you're getting access to very, very valuable skills. आपको वो skills मिल रहा है जो शायद आपके पास पहले नहीं था. All of us have certain strengths, certain areas of improvement. बट नेटवर्क करके आपको वो सारे लोग मिल रहे जो उस चीज में अच्छे हैं जिस चीज में शायद आप खुद उतने अच्छे नहीं हैं. For example, I would rate myself pretty average at networking, but I have seen Deepak over the last few years being fantastic at it. So that's another advantage that I get when Deepak is in my network. Strong business connections. Of course, networking is about sharing, not taking, that I spoke about. The business connections that you build, are you able to create value for them? And therefore, that's the reason you are networking with them. Get fresh ideas. A lot of times we feel stuck in our professional lives, in our personal lives. लगता है इस job में मैं जो दे सकता था सारा दे चुका हूँ. What is the point of continuing? How can I therefore innovate? Getting fresh ideas, another big one. Advance your career. Now, advancing your career has various ways. You can go through learnings in the same job. You can switch jobs in order to advance your careers. You can look for growth opportunities by trying an entrepreneurial strength. All of this, networking becomes a big important criteria. Interconnected business contacts. This is related to the strong business connections that I was talking about. Get career advice and support. Critical one. I think most of the times there has been an important decision in my career. I've looked forward to not only my mentors, but also to my colleagues and team members about what's their 360-degree view on it. Building confidence, another very important one. And finally, gaining a different perspective. I think a big part of networking is getting feedback that I mentioned in the definition. Gaining a different perspective will help you understand how you are being perceived in the outer world rather than being completely covered by your perspective only. Very importantly, guys, please keep putting questions on the chat box that keeps coming from time to time as I take you through the networking journey. Some critical reasons, therefore, as I mentioned, the why people network, and you should also kind of bring these three buckets majorly. First is the operational, here and now. One of the major reasons, I think majority people network because of this reason, where there is a requirement in the current situation. Maybe you have a project that you need some help in, maybe there's a certain business scenario that you have got stuck, maybe there's a transition that you are planning. So that's an operational requirement, the here and now. This is often internal and short-term focused. That's the first one. Second reason of why you network would normally be the personal one. This is normally the mentors and the colleagues that you reach out to, usually external people whom you share common interests with, and it helps you grow personally and professionally. आपका कोई passion होगा, something that is your dream, उसको आगे बढ़ाने के लिए you are networking with various people. It can be your career also as part of your passion. Last one is strategic. These are the people whom you are networking with in order to shape your future goals and direction. So you know that over a period of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you can be in touch with these people and constantly get value from these people. And again, this can be your seniors, your parallels, your juniors, but these are strategic networks that you do. This is an interesting one I wanted to share with all of you. And you guys can tell in the chat box while I'm sharing, do you think you belong to this type? And these are the types of networkers. And I would suggest that these are some of the types that maybe you would want to avoid. There is no right or wrong answer. So even if you're one of these types right now, it's absolutely okay. But if you're conscious that this is one type that maybe I don't want to be as I go along, so therefore, you can be aware of that particular. First is the entrepreneur. A lot of us have seen this one friend. In fact, I have two friends like this, one from my MBA background and one from my school days. दोनों ये बोलते रहते कि मेरे पास बढ़िया आइडिया है यार, इस आइडिया को मुझे बिजनेस बनाना है और तू देखना क्या चमत्कार होगा. Exactly 1 month later when I meet them, they say, मैंने बोला तो था कि मैं ये आइडिया बिजनेस बनाने वाला हूँ, बट ये मैं अगले महीने बनाऊंगा, एंड टू ट्रस्ट मी, मैं अगले महीने बनाऊंगा ही बनाऊंगा. Exactly 3 months later when you meet them, they say, यार एक प्रॉब्लम आ गया था, although I was very passionate about it, अब मैं अगले साल बनाऊंगा. So an entrepreneur is one who is networking because of their ideas, but never executing that idea. So that's the first kind of networker that you would normally see. The second kind of networker that you would normally see is a social butterfly. Now, you would see a lot of people like that in your circle also, who would be very energetic, would be passionate, who would meet a lot of people, but they would not necessarily have a clear purpose or a goal of why they are doing the networking that they are doing. So that's the second kind, which is the social butterfly. You can also say whether you belong to that category. The third kind of networker is normally the nervous networker. Now, I used to belong to this category in the very beginning, jahan pe you get a little itchy while trying to network. Now, these are the people who would ask whether, sir, is it okay that I would send you a connect? Sir, can I have your 5 minutes? So when you're networking, you have to be confident. You have to feel that you are an equal irrespective of whom you are approaching. So that's the third type. The fourth type will normally be the people who would give you the business card. आपने बहुत सारे लोग events में देखा होगा of this type. These are the people who would normally always carry a business card and a smile. तो आपके उनके business card मिल जाते हैं, and normally you store it in your drawer and you never open it. It's also called the rubber band syndrome. The rubber band syndrome says that when you have 20, 25, 30 business cards, you keep them tied to a rubber band and put it in your drawers. A lot of people with more number of years of experience would associate with it and never see those cards again. So that's one kind. A lot of us see that. One kind is the employee. I think I belong to this category for a large part of my career. This is a networker who is networking because they need to get some work done for their current job, or they want to transition. So this is the kind who would ask, what do you think? shall I take up this project? Shall I take up this role? They would go to HR and say, please tell me, network with the HR just to understand what is their leave policy. So this is one typical kind that a lot of you would have seen. The last one, this is closely related to the employee, is the transitioning. These are people who would always call up when they're changing jobs and or changing their entire career path. So this is the type. So guys, the 6 types that I've spoken to you about are the overall types of networkers that we see around us, and all of us would have also fallen into some of these categories when we would have tried to network with our peers. My single big suggestion in this is, if you can just be yourself when you're networking. There can be various types, as I told you, but the best way of networking is to be as authentic as possible. You don't have to change the way you are in order to network because you have started this game of networking. Deepak will talk to you about how to network, but in the type of networkers, I wanted to clearly cover that these are the types that are there and you should be aware and try and be as authentic as possible. On this note, I would hand it over to Deepak to take you through the how part. How do you do this entire game? Yeah, over to you, Deepak.
Thanks, Dave. Before you move on, do you want to take a question or two? Maybe Vipin, if there are any questions on the thing, maybe we could take 1 or 2 and then move on to the next session. Is that okay, Dave? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just one question. And this is from Benjamin. He's asking, does networking also mean that you have to be emotionally attached to the person, or is it completely non-emotional? Dave?
Yeah. So Benjamin, if you are connected to the person, it always helps. It is what I would clearly think and understand. When you are approaching the person, there may not be emotional connect that is there, but that develops over a time. Also, as I was mentioning in the definition, if you are able to provide value to the person over a period of time, the connect automatically develops. I would not use the word emotional. I would use the word connect rather. Deepak, you want to add?
Yeah, so I just want to say that emotion is a very large word, Benjamin, and emotion has got multiple things, right? A likability to somebody that you want to, you are really ready to sacrifice something. So it's a huge word. Of course, there is an emotion. And in some part of the next slide, you will see that there are different types of network. So you'll have different types of emotion towards different types of people. It's not possible that you'll have the same kind of emotion with everybody. That's not possible. But how do you ensure that who falls into that high amount of emotion for you and who falls into you as an acquaintance is something that we'll speak about in the further slides today. Okay, so thanks, Dave, and thanks, Vipin, and it's my pleasure to be on this on a Saturday afternoon, and it's good that you spoke about the why part of it, Dave. And I'm a very strong believer of most smart people, if they understand why, chances are very high that they'll start moving the needle, and that's where a lot of us get stuck towards. So coming back to network, I think the first network that at least I have right now in the COVID life of mine is a network that's going from, this picture that's going to come in next is going to depict about what is the network that I'm currently going through. One, obviously we all are there for the session of networking, and I want to believe that we have to build network. But I also understand and empathize with the fact that this is the network that we all go through today. Many of us are on lockdown, but this is not the network that we're going to talk about today. And I know many of us have this as our top of the mind thing. So the network that we're going to talk about is got a very simple rule of networking that at least I personally believe in. There could be many, and many of them believe in multiple rules of it. But I have a very, very simple rule of believing in networking. And that is, first is, it's a very simple conscious decision. When I mean a conscious decision, you have to take this decision knowingly that I am going to network and I'm going to speak to people. Okay. All it requires is a slight shift in attitude, in believing in it that we need to do it. And we'll also speak about how do you start believing in it in a while. But you need to start believing in that attitude shift of let me start doing about it. And then adopting a simple trifurcated rule that works for me. So there are 3 simple trifurcated rules that I believe in. Number 1, greet a new acquaintance with an openness to learn about the person. All of us are in this whole thing that, when I get 2 minutes with a leader, say you're in, fortunately somebody gets to spend 2 minutes with Virat Kohli in a lift, or with somebody else in a flight just next to you, and there are only 5 minutes of conversation that you could have. Usually we tend to speak about 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. What is the best thing that I can tell about myself? All the things that I've done in my world, my background, my B school, my this, my success is what we want to talk about in those 4 minutes. And that's where the shift in attitude is important. That's a space where maybe you speak only for 4 minutes and the rest 1 minute, and the rest 4 minutes is actually to know the person that you're meeting. So that allows you to get into the first step of it, which is of the trifurcated rule. The second thing is the willingness to help. You know, like any other relationship, which Benjamin even asked about the emotion part of it, the base of the pyramid is the trust. Okay, and a trust gets built only when you are offering help rather than trying to talk about, let me, you know, this is what I want, this is a great thing I do, and stuff like that. What can I do? How can I give you access to my network? Is there anything that I could offer you? And so on and so forth is the second thing that is a part of the rule. And the third part of the rule, but a very, very critical part of it, is an offer to stay in touch. And we'll speak about it a little bit more in deep, but you know, it's been proven that one human being in his whole lifetime usually influences about 65,000 people. Okay. Now it's difficult for us to stay in touch with all the 65,000 people, but today social media, other medias, what can you do? You know, and there are multiple groups. Each one of us are part of huge amount of groups today, whether it is LinkedIn groups, WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups. And how could you use all of these things to stay in touch? We will speak about that in a while. But this is a simple trifurcated rule that works for me whenever I try to meet someone. Moving on to the next slide of knowing your network. You know, someone spoke about, I also saw in the question that, is it important to have a loose relationship or is it important to have less network with very deep relationships? I feel it's important to know your network. And there are three types of network. And I think all three are important. There is no either or. The first one is your breadth. For people who asked, should we have a lot of people in my network? The answer is yes. Because breadth gets you, it's like a window, right? It gets you access, like what Debojit spoke about in the first part. It gets you different mindsets of people. So when you have breadth of people, say you are in the finance domain. If you don't have anybody who's an HR person or a supply chain person in your network, for you to get the different mindset and different access and even plasticity where you could mold yourself by taking feedback becomes slightly difficult. So hence having a network in which you have breadth is very, very important. Okay. And once you have the breadth in place, then there is also subsets of breadth, which is, do you have a diversity? Do you have a gender diversity? Do you have diversity of nations and so on and so forth? But that's second step of it. But at least in the first step, breadth is important in your network. The second part of it is what I call it as the depth or the 3 a.m. You know, and I still remember this, that a long time back, somebody had asked me about a 3 a.m. network. If I ask each one of you today to pick up a paper and pen and write 10 names, which are not your family members, okay, who are not your cousins, brothers, father, mother, sister, write 10 names whom you could call at 3 a.m. for help. Trust me, majority of the people on this call would write 4 or 5 non-stop and then will get stuck at the 5th or the 6th name. And they will not be able to put names beyond that. Okay. So that's the 3 a.m. network. And it's important to have those. And the reason for that, and that's where the emotion part of it is slightly higher, because it is a function of time also. Depth gets created over time. But it's also not the amount of time, it's also the quality of time. It's also how you connect over a specific passion, and we'll speak about it a little bit more in the further slides to come. But depth is very, very important. That's what I call it as the inner circle. The inner circle of your network is your depth, which is like your electric cables, which run either above your ceiling or below your floor. You can't see them, but that's what helps you run your house, your kitchen, everything. So it's important. So, okay, now I have this breadth in place. I got to build my depth in place. How do I do this structure? Because it's random, right? So someone even asked this question and in the poll, that how do you network? Then many of you all had chosen something called random, right? So it should not be random. It has to have a structure to it. And the structure that I believe is the best is Bridge and Island. So what I mean by Bridge and Island, so let me take an example. The usual example for this is exercise. And I think that's a great networking space to be in. I don't think anybody in this group doesn't want to be fit. Intentionally, all of us want to be fit. It's another story how much of us do something about it. But now, for example, what do you do first thing when you want to start running or start exercising? You find people, right? You find people whom you can work together. You can call it a Mumbai Runners Club or a Delhi Runners Club or West Region Runners Club and so on and so forth. So that becomes your island, where you have a set of people who have certain thought process, certain passion, whom all of you will come together, motivate each other, influence each other. Plasticity comes in, you mold each other's thought process and so on and so forth. Now, if you have a structure, which is you can connect the bridge between here and say there is another island of people of 20 people who think similar like you, okay, and you put a bridge structure to that with a common passion around it, this network is not grown by one or two, but it's exponentially grown, okay, and that's what bridges and islands could do. If you are, another example, if you believe in the whole thing of networking, first is to form a group of 10 people who believe in networking, who form your core group or who form your island. And then also look at, are there any people outside India? Are there people in the other cities? Are there people in other business schools? Are there people who have a similar group and who are trying to look at networking as a similar thing? And then you connect. So that's called bridge and island. When you do a bridge and island, your network doesn't grow in linearly, it actually grows exponentially. So that's where it helps. So these are the three types of networks that I genuinely believe that you should do. And you should go back and check your network back, which is how much is my breadth, how much is my depth, and how much is my structure. And you will need to even build your inner circle. Inner circle is equally important. So moving on, this is a question that, and you can type answers on the chat box, is say, you get extremely motivated by the Crackit sessions that's been happening for the last so many weeks. And all of us get, many of us maybe unfortunately or fortunately even get motivated by me from this conversation. And you wake up tomorrow morning and decide that, I'm not going to do all this. I'm going to give up my career and I'm going to become a rock star. So can you all tell me what is the first thing that you would do when you decide you want to become a rock star? And maybe one or two answers in the chat box would be good for me to see.
Okay, so we have answers coming in. So Rohan says he would first look for a band. I think that's good. Preetham says he will join a group of aspiring rock stars. Education is what Lakshmi, he will educate himself, learning to play a guitar, acquiring skills, and starting to becoming receptive, access to all. So that's the, I think a lot of responses are related to learning and connecting with people who are of a similar group.
So this is what happens, guys, right? So first of all, when you want to become a rock star, all of us, I saw some answers, want to play guitar, want to join a band. Why would a band take you if you don't know how to play? Okay. What are you going to do? And learning skills, buying guitar, going to a college, going to classes, any education around the rock star space. But you know what is the number one thing that would work is you build a network of rock stars. The first question to ask is, today in my 3 a.m. network, which is when I get up in the morning, and can I call 3 people, my inner circle that I call, are there rock stars? And if there are no rock stars in that, trust me, for you to become a rock star is going to be super, super difficult. And hence, having that core group first about what you dream. So many of us in this group have multiple dreams. We want to become entrepreneurs, want to become CEOs, want to become CFOs, want to become HR heads, and it doesn't mean that you need to connect only with the people who have succeeded with it. Even people who have gone through the level or step that you have gone through or you're going to go through is super, super critical. And that network has huge effect. So if you want to become a rock star, the first thing I would do is to go and find a rock star and get him into my network or get her into my network, because I want to see what's a rock star's life. What do they do in the morning? How much is the time that they have to dedicate? What kind of learning goes behind it? What are people's expectations from a rock star? And unless you're not clear about that, just by learning a guitar, may not get. So network is that important. It's not only important from a standpoint of, I use this word shusha. People think it's just a shusha. It's not shusha. It's your learning, it's your getting your skills in place and so on and so forth. And I will support this with a couple of studies. So if you move on to the next slide, you'll see that a couple of empirical studies, like people after going through a bypass surgery, who found a group which had same amount of passion. They network with people who have also gone through bypass and actually want to change their lifestyle. They move from 10% to 77%. So the people who changed their lifestyle were 10% earlier. They moved to 77% when they got the network who had the same kind of thought process. The other example, which is put up in terms of any journal of medicine, if your friend, that is your inner circle, gets obese, you increase your chance of becoming obese by 57%. That's true in any house. You see that If one person in your family starts getting obese, the partner or the other person usually starts getting obese, and there is a chance for you to become obese with 57%. And that's what network could do. Okay, and that's what network actually does to all of us. The other example is the schizophrenic relapse. So, in spite of medication, a lot of schizophrenia actually relapses, but family support becomes huge importance, right? So hence, which is the 3 a.m. network that I talked about. So family intervention drop relapses rates. So if you have an intervention of network where people are involved in your whole thing and you carry the same passion and same things towards it, the relapse rates drop significantly. So some of the reasons why I'm saying this is for the depth and the question that some of you all asked, that is it important for us to have too much of network and stuff. My own personal experience, a couple of years when I had started out, I had these great friends and I used to hang around with them a lot. I really used to enjoy hanging around with them. But later on, I realized that I hang around with them is because I like to hang around with them. And I'm not saying that's not important. You also need to have those kind of networks. But if you have 4 weeks in a month where you want to hang around with some people, if you do all 4 weeks with the same, then you are actually not building any of your network, status or your own, what would I call it, as a network indicator. So it's important that you go back again, look back at your quality of network. Where does it work? What are the 3 types? What am I strong at? What do I need to build upon? And take conscious decision towards it. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Randomness in networking won't work. So moving on to this, how do I network? So people talk, okay, fine, we need to network, but I struggle with it. How do I network? The first thing that one needs to have is a 1-minute talk. So you should be able to speak about yourself in a minute, covering basically who are you and what you do, and also what can you offer. And many people struggle with this. It's very, very easy, but it's when it's said, but when you have to do it, it's very, very difficult. Some people call it as an elevator pitch or whatever you want to call it. But that 1-minute talk of yourself is super critical when you get a chance to speak about yourself. And it's, one of my professors at some point of time I told that, as an interviewer, the person interviews 10 people in a day. But who's that one person that he's going to talk over the night with his wife over dinner table is the person that he'll be remembered, right? So whom you remember and whom you interview are 2 different things. You may still get a job, that's a separate thing, but whom you remember is actually dependent on that 1-minute conversation, that what can you leave that impact in that minute. So be concise, clear, understanding, and it is not only when you talk, it's also when you write email. So in today's world, you try to network even over an email. So important to write, why are you here? What are you reaching out? It has to be very, very concise, but at the same time, also asking, why are you here reaching out and what is your passion and stuff like that. So it's important. And the third thing, you've said it enough, but once more important to mention about it, it's about them, not about you. If you're going to talk about, I get at least, I'm being very open to you. I get at least 25 emails a week asking for a job straight on an email. It doesn't work. It will not work. And so do you when you write to somebody, you see, it will not work. So it's not about them. It's about you. What's in the conversation for the person that you're writing to is very, very important. So, move on to the next slide. So all of us have this struggle of how do we start this, because it's okay to be told we need to do it, but how do I start? So this is a picture that I usually pick up for anything that needs to start. I don't know how many of you have done this in your life, but the most difficult part of this sport is to start. By the time you sit in a squat position to stand, you would have fallen at least 20 times. But once you stand, all you need to do is just stand. Then you keep going smooth. Okay. So starting usually becomes a difficult thing for many of us for whatever we are doing. So a couple of things that work for all of us to start are the following that we put up. First is manage inner circle. Like I said, it is important to have your golden inner circle in place. List 5. If you can't find them, you have to find them. But at least you have to find 5 people. Even today, circle who believes in networking. If you have people around you who say, this is of no use, this is all shusha, you don't need to do this, CV will speak for itself, I have my skills will speak for itself, then chances are very high by that 57% logic, you will not do it. But if you are able to get an inner circle today who also believe in networking, you can start. They will push you. So getting that inner circle is very, very important. Second, decision removing is the most important. Just to give you all a definition of decision, decision is a word actually that doesn't stand for choosing the right thing. It actually means cessation, which means can you cut the things that you don't want. If you have 10 things, when you make a decision, it is not choosing the one, but it is cutting the 9 so that you take it. So all of us have that second decision that comes in, right? It's not the intent at that point of time. If you have an intent problem, I'm telling you nothing will work. You don't want to follow time. Even if I buy you a Rolex, you will not follow time. So that's not going to work. But say we have an intent. All of us feel like getting up in the morning and running. But first thing, the alarm rings and then you snooze it and say, yeah, let me sleep for some more time. That's called the second decision. So how do you kill that second decision that comes in, which is a villain in your life, which kills your first decision? And it's very, very simple, but it works, which is speaking and writing. So stand in front of the mirror the evening, and I'll give you 2 examples of real life that's worked, one for me and one for an organization that I can't name. You stand in front of the mirror with a lot of intent, speak to yourself 3 times loud and write it down saying that I am going to get up in the morning tomorrow. It'll work. So the example that I would like to give that's worked for me is many of us today, when we get up in the morning, don't remember our dreams. All of us dream. If you don't dream, you have a neurological disorder. So all of us dream, okay? Just that we don't remember our dreams in the morning. So try telling this to yourself in the night. I am going to remember my dream 3 times. Keep a pen and paper just next to you. And with that intent, you sleep. Chances are very high when you wake up in the morning, you'll remember your dream. Okay? That's strong. That's how this strong is. The second part of it is, I know an organization which is running a call center. They wanted all of their employees to speak in the same manner, same tone and stuff like that. But the intent was there. But it's just that, all of us have our own unbiased, unconscious. We have a way of style. That style comes in automatically, the way we speak. But they wanted uniformity in the whole organization. They actually started doing this. It's not that the employees didn't want to do it, but they had a style that came out, right? There's a habit. So the only way things work for starting is when you move it into a habit. It's like brushing your teeth. It's, for me personally, it's like if I don't do one networking a month with a person whom I don't know, it's like brushing. It doesn't end my month. So I have to figure out a way, at least I meet one person whom I don't know in this month. So once you put that as a habit, then life becomes very easy. So some couple of, again, empirical studies, people participating in an exercise, when they started telling loud, saying and writing it down, in a week's time, it moved from 29% to 91% of participation. Women performing breast scanning, okay, after a certain age, breast cancer is pretty evident among women and they need to get their scans done. They keep postponing, let me do it next month, let me do it next month. But getting in the speaking it loud and writing it down actually moved it over a month from 53% to 100%. So that's the power of speaking and writing. So I think these are the things that works when you want to start and how to start about the whole thing. Moving on to the next slide. So over to you, Debojit, from you. You're on mute.
Thanks, Deepak. Very interesting insights. I think a lot of family members looked at each other when you spoke about the obese point, where people pick up from each other. Also, I think the dream bit will stay back with me for sure, where starting today, I would also want to see whether this works, standing in front of a mirror and talking and waking up in the morning and writing your dreams. Very many interesting insights on how to network. And your experience is kind of speaking up. I thought an interesting part which we would want to kind of conclude in the third section, and then guys, we would want to take all your questions in the last 15 minutes. Please feel free to keep posting. Is the social media networking is something that we all are a part of. We spend, an average Indian right now in metro cities are spending more than 2 hours on a social media daily, as compared to 40 minutes that's recommended for social media. So, but when we are there, what are we doing? And therefore, are we good at it? Let's start with LinkedIn, because that's my personal favorite. First, I think you need to make your profile stand out. When someone visits your profile and they feel that this is not a profile that I would be interested in, maybe in the experiences that you have written about, in the kind of posts that you have in your pedigree, the way you have presented your pedigree as well as your job experience matters. Second is connect with relevant people and delete unwanted contacts. I'm mentioning very clearly that deleting unwanted contacts increases your reach to the contacts that you actually want your posts and your messages to reach. Third is posting engaging content. Very important. When you are expressing your views and opinions on the things that are carrying on in the market, in the overall industry, it helps people also realize that you have an opinion and therefore agree or disagree to it. Parallelly, commenting views and insights on others' content help. This also helps in networking. For example, if you want to share your LinkedIn request to a very famous personality, if you send it straight away, there is a huge probability that it will get rejected. But if you consistently post on that person's content for, let's say, 3 to 6 months, there is a possibility that that person will notice you over a period of time, that this person is interested, engaged in the content that I post, and your LinkedIn request will get accepted and you expand your network. So commenting views and insights on others' content where you feel that you can add value always helps. That's on LinkedIn, guys. Facebook, a lot of us just post our selfies, and there are hundreds of selfies in various directions on Facebook every day. But I think some of the things I would suggest, first is exchanging ideas and sharing opinions. A big one. Some people do it really well and they're very successful while doing it. When you're sharing ideas and opinions, the world recognizes you as someone who stands for themselves in terms of their own thought. If there is an unusual dilemma, you can ask the question on Facebook. This is highly recommended. A lot of times you're faced with a dilemma and we are not able to come up with a solution. If you are relatively well networked and you ask a dilemma, a lot of people will answer back. Following trends, I think, is a no-brainer. Don't post anything that you don't want to post on the front page of your local newspaper. Before posting on Facebook, just have this check. If this particular post comes in the newspaper, will I be proud about it? If the answer is no, then don't post it. So that's one. Connect on a personal level. I think Facebook, as compared to LinkedIn, helps you develop a more personal connect or a bond. So connecting on a personal level helps. If you are trying to increase your depth, as Deepak was talking about. Twitter, another big one in terms of networking. I think associating yourself with the hashtags which are related to events and views is a big one. Finding them and therefore associating with them will help. Driving traffic through the promotion of your own content is another important one, where you can promote whatever you are engaged in, therefore drive traffic to that. Sharing advice, asking questions and staying informed is something that Twitter brings on the table and can help you as you go along in your networking journey. Ending with Insta, I picked up the top 4. Instagram chat, I don't know how many of you use it, is a very, very important one. And Insta Explore, that's another. These two features I would highly recommend while you're networking. But in Insta chat, replying to another's Instagram story or a direct message helps. Insta groups are, I have found, most active among most of the other social networking sites. So that's another thing that you can try and should definitely be a part of your bucket list. Content starts to appear higher in Instagram feed thanks to the algorithm if you are part of multiple groups also. And also if you follow someone's account, that person will follow you back most probably. So summarizing these things, I would want to kind of tell you overall in social media, these are the things you can look at. First is identify what sets you apart. Before you go on social media, if you have an expertise, there is nothing like it. If there is a clear personal brand, which is the genuine expertise I'm talking about, it will elicit more interest. So that's first, rather than randomly and generally going out in the open. Second is about the hard sell. I mean, like Deepak mentioned, asking for a job doesn't necessarily give you a great network. Or pushing people to view your post and content and therefore expressing may not help. Avoiding the hard sell but creating value for people always helps. Focusing on quality over quantity. I think Deepak mentioned both about width and depth. Focusing on both while making sure that your quality of whatever you're doing in the social media platform is very, very high, and looking at it from a more outward perspective, and eventually practicing good etiquette. I mean, you don't want to be in a good in a network with person who is always cribbing, always complaining. You would want people who are positive, optimistic about life overall. So these are some overall suggestions, guys, on the social media bit. Deepak, I would hand over to you for taking us through some myths and tips. You're on mute, I think.
Thanks, Debojit. Very useful, and I think today's social media is super critical from a standpoint of networking. So I want to touch upon the myths of networking, and to be very frank, a lot of this even I have gone through personally in my life over a couple of years. So I thought we'll touch upon each one of them. So moving on to the first one, a lot of people feel networking is slimy. You know, it can be slimy provided you make it look slimy, and that's the way I would put across. Because if you, like I said, if someone's writing an email straight to saying, can I get a job? Of course, it sounds slimy and it's not going to work out great. But if you are able to offer something and genuinely offer something, and it won't come across as slimy. I think everybody needs everyone today, and that's how the power of network is. So I don't think so it's slimy. So do not get into this mode of saying networking is slimy. It's not for me. A lot of people have this thing saying, I don't need networking. My CV, my experience speaks for itself, and that's enough. So networking is not for your job. Networking is for the perspective. It's not that your CV speaks for yourself. Can 10 people more speak for you? Okay, that is the whole thing about network. And today's world, it's not only going to be your CV speaking for yourself, but over a period of time, if 20 people can speak for you, then that's the main thing. And that can get worked only with networking. It can't happen with your CV being as strong as it is. The third part is introvert and extrovert. And I'm going to take a minute to speak to people about introvert. What is introvert and what is extrovert? Because it's a huge misconception among people. Just to tell you, the difference between introvert and extrovert is a source of energy. Okay. So extroverts are people who source energy from other people. Introverts are people who source energy from themselves. That's the only difference between introvert and extrovert. So I'll give you a very, very good example of it. An extrovert, suppose, has a very, very important meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning, 9 to 9:30 or 9:45. If he or she meets 20 more people, speaks to people, completely energized, when they get into the 10 a.m. meeting, they'll be very, very good. Introverts, 9 o'clock to 9:45, if they can sit alone and think, at 10 o'clock meeting, they'll be super good. That's the only difference. Otherwise, in terms of your skill, your ability to do things, your thinking, your leadership quality, everything is up there. And in fact, in networking, to be very frank, introvert actually has an edge because their listening power is a lot more higher. And like I said, it's about the other person, right? So introverts are a lot more people who can listen to. So this whole myth is it's only meant for extroverts should be taken off from people. Networking is about returning in kind. A lot of people say that I take 2 things from people, so I have to give 5 things back to people. It's not like that. It's an exchange. It's not return. Okay, return is very different. It's one-time transaction. Exchange is a lifetime transaction. So looking at it, how we can continue this relationship where we give something to each other actually matters a lot. And there are smaller things, right? Like offering your own, and we'll talk about it, offering your own network and access and things like that. Moving on to the next myth, is you should only network with people higher than you or in your hierarchy. And this is something that I had for a very long time, that I used to try to network only with people who are seniors, people who are higher in hierarchy than me. I felt that people junior to me or parallel to me are actually not, I don't need to network with them because I've crossed all that stage. That's actually not correct. In today's world, it's very, very important for everybody. Today, I'll give you a couple of examples for people on this group. I feel Gen now, I take efforts to go and network with Gen now today, because what their way of thinking, their ability of what job is today, looking at a work-life balance, they don't think like what I think. And it's important to understand their thinking, because tomorrow we all are going to manage the talent forces them. So it's important not only for me to network with people of my age or people senior to me, but it's also important to network with those kind of people who can get value to me to understand how they think. They also give access to a lot of good talent in the country, right? And hence, it is super important to take away this myth. Whatever it could even be a college intern for you. It's important to network. The networking doesn't stop only there. So these were the couple of myths of networking. Moving on to the last, at least from my side, are a couple of tips that I thought will be useful for you guys to pick up from here. One, we spoke about this group, right? So there are many groups that we are part of. A thumb rule that works, at least for me, that be part of groups. 90% of the time in that group, you lurk around. When you mean lurking around, you just see what's happening and stuff. 9% of the time you respond, okay, so that people know that you're there. And about 1% of the time, you should initiate something on the group. And that keeps you with your network closer enough, but at the same time, not completely like some of those people who keep just posting things. but that's very, very useful when you do it when you're part of a group. How do you manage those groups? The other thing is, how do I keep in touch with people? Usually it's important to find when you meet some people, what are their likings and stuff. So subscribe to newsfeed, podcast, and multiple things, and you could forward this. Might interest you, And I get a lot of that from many people today, and I really value that because it's so useful, right? You don't have today. Internet is so much there, you can't access everything there. So if somebody understands what you want, and it should not become like something every day I'm sending you something. So you'll have to be very careful what you choose and send. But whatever you send should be something, wow, this is useful. So it's important to know the person when you meet the thing. What can you offer? You should understand. And then send things what are there in that space of offering. It will be really, really valued. Moving on to the next thing is review your network. So it's not a static network. Networks change, your roles change, your jobs change, your thought process change, your cities change. You initiate new things in life. So every 3 months at least, I would suggest each one of you to look at it from all the 3 parameters: breadth, depth, and bridge, and see what is it that you could work around in this space, and take this as a tip that you do it every 3 months. The best thing that you could do with a network is access to your network. So somebody asks, how do I start my network? So say I go and meet A. The first thing I'm going to do after I do my 1-minute talk and what do I offer is I understand what that B wants, A wants from what is it the current need. And if there is something that I could give access to them through my network, that's the easiest thing to offer. Rather than that, a lot of people are in this, I don't want to expose my network. I want to use it. If I give it to them, they could go ahead of me. It doesn't work like that. Okay. The more you share with it, and that's how your network strength becomes stronger. Someone also asked this question, how do I build a 3M network? The 3M network builds only when you build trust. Otherwise, you can't build a 3M network. And these are things that how you build that trust around. And the most important thing, how do I start a conversation with someone? So a little bit of homework is important. You have to figure out what are the common topics, passion, whether it is NGO Connect, liking. Kids are a very, very huge topic of similar, a common platform that you could find to talk about, running, exercising. There could be many things. But picking up that passion, what the other person has and not what you have, is important. And that could be a tip for you to start the conversation with that person. And make an offer what you could do on this space. So with that, I'm going to hand it over back to Debojit. So Debojit, over to you.
Thanks, Deepak. I think also I've realized I have a pet, and anyone who has a pet, it becomes an easy network to crack. Again, very good tips, very interesting tips that I stayed back. I would want to finish, guys, with one theory that might be interesting for you to know, and then we can take the questions. This is a very old theory called the 6 degrees of separation. It's a simple statement which says all of us in this world are maximum separated by 6 connections or 6 acquaintances. So it's very simple. If you have 50 people in your network and each one of them know 50 more, so till the time you reach the 6th person, you know A knows B, B knows C, C knows D up to F, you would have reached 50 to the power 6 number of people in your network, which is about 13 billion, which is more than the population of the world. So all of us are separated by 6 degrees. Now the theory that I'm going to tell you is even more interesting. Now with social network, it's 3.5. So you are actually separated by anyone in the world. It could be the President of United States. It could be the CEO of Google, Mr. Sundar Pichai. In fact, I figured out Mr. Sundar Pichai is just 3 degrees away from me because he's 2 degrees away from Deepak himself. So everyone that you can think of is just 3.5 degrees away from you. It's that easy. So it's all about just identifying whom do I have to reach out to, and then identifying the missing dots in the process. Okay, from him I have to know this person, and from this person I have to know this, and eventually I can reach out to the final person, irrespective of who that person is in the world. And therefore now we know the world has become a much, much smaller place to live in. We are highly connected, and if we are playing our game well, our cards well, we are therefore able to reach out to all possible people. The graph that you can see is the number of average people, how everyone in the world is distributed, and you can see the mean is about 3.5. So that's where Deepak and I would want to end the session. on networking. Would encourage all of you to put in your questions that are there on the chat box. And Vipin, if you can start taking questions one by one. And as both of us mentioned, the opposite of networking is not working, guys. In today's world, irrespective of how hard you work, how smart you work, if you're not networked well, your career will come to a standstill after a certain point, and your personal life. It's not only about career. As he was mentioning about waking up in the morning and running. Other than your alarm, if there are 5 friends waking you up for going for that morning walk, the probability of your waking up increases even further. So open to questions. Vipin, if you can start taking up questions one by one, both of us will be happy to answer.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely fantastic session. I thoroughly enjoyed it myself. There are a lot of students on this session, and quite a few of them had a common question as to about being a fresher or a starter in their industry. What can they offer to people who they want to network with? Because we mentioned in the session that networking is also about sharing. It's not just about taking. So why would anybody higher up go about networking in the industry?
I'll take it.
Audio clear?
Yeah. Deepak, you can take it.
Yeah, so good question. I think it's a great question. The way I would put across is there's no one thumb rule. I put my video off because I think my voice is cracking. So there's no one thumb rule which says that, this is the way to what you can offer, because each one of you within yourself have different strengths, right? Some of y'all would be in the space of impact. Some of y'all would genuinely be believing in the space of doing some non-profit work. Some of y'all could be actually in the place of working out and could offer something on that. Today, there is a lot of tech skills that you in your fresher life carry, which many of us suffer to look at. You may have access to even a lot of new startups in the space that are coming out, which in a large corporate organization, we may not have access to. So there is no one thumb rule. So the way to look at it are only two. First, be genuine and authentic, like what Dave said. Look at it, what you can genuine. Don't make it up, okay? Because it takes 2 minutes for the person on the opposite side to understand whether you're making it up or not. And second part of it is also understand what the other person wants, okay? So if you know that, like pet, kids, tech network, what is it? If you're able to figure that out, I'm sure each one of you has something to offer.
Yeah, I agree, Vipin. We can move to the next question.
Yeah. So we have another one from Prem. I think this question was probably answered during the course of the session, but maybe I'll ask it again if there's anything that you guys want to add. So he's asking, Prem wants to know which one is better, a wide network of loose relationships or a small network of strong relationships. This was kind of answered by the bridge and island theory. Prem says he finds it difficult to interact with complete strangers in networking events. How can these forums be used effectively? Any take on that, Devoji, Deepak?
So I have a couple of things, and I think I resonate with Prem, and to be very frank, sometime back even I was in that space many years back. I could do a great job. Am I cracking?
No, you are audible clearly.
Okay. So I could actually go into a large, do a great job when I meet one-on-one with some person. But I used to struggle when I used to go to a large conference where there are 10 people standing there and I need to speak to someone. So it's, what you could do is something like this. Maybe when you're there, when you meet that person and you want to network with that person, he or she could actually ask saying that, can we get a cup of coffee together for 5 minutes? Or can we just walk through that place, so that you get that one-on-one time. Sometimes when there are 10 people standing with you and you got to network with that one person, you find it difficult, and then you find that trick out, right? And just offer something saying, hey, look, I am coming from this place. I feel there's something that we could work out. Do you have 2 minutes of your time or 4 minutes of your time? Again, it all depends upon that 1 minute talk, what you're able to put across. If you're able to put across that, there is a very high chance that the other person may say, okay, let me get out for 5 minutes with you. And 5 minutes one-on-one, that person could be a lot more effective than 20 minutes in a group of 20 people standing together. So you'll have to figure that out. Where is your strength lying? But over a period of time, I'm sure you'll find this out. But that's the best way to do it when you want to do it, if you don't want to do it in a large group.
I would add, Prem, to what Deepak is saying. Two clear things. One is you have to take it out of your mind that you are going to ask for a favor, because that's not something you should network anyway for. It has to be a mutual relationship where both parties are valuable to each other. The second thing is just behave and at least assume in your mind that you are an equal, irrespective of whether it's a senior, it's a colleague, or it's a junior in the current professional hierarchy. What is stopping you or making you nervous and has made me nervous for a large part of my career is the fact that you feel you're going to ask for a favor and you're not an equal. Both these things you should avoid, because that should not be the purpose at all or the intent at all.
Yeah, so there are a lot of questions related to the use of social media. How does one use them effectively? And there are questions related to, is it necessary to have presence on all the social media platforms, or is LinkedIn enough for the network that you're talking about?
Yeah, Vipin, your voice is breaking a little. I'll take the questions from here. I think, and Deepak can add after me, I think you have to choose what is your type also. I think that helps, where you can prioritize one network over another. So for example, I know my parents, for example, want to be there only on Facebook, and irrespective of all the other networks that are there all around. I would want to be on all four right now and not necessarily to prioritize one over the other. So prioritizing what you want to get out of each one of those four might help, because each one of them has a very specific purpose why the network exists. And but if you think that there is value for all four, then you can go ahead for all four. I think Samriddhi is asking, and Deepak, you might want to answer this. How can misuse of my intellectual property, like my posts, my photos, be prevented? What steps can I take when I'm networking?
So first thing is you need to find the person whom you're going to network with. So that's like basic, right? And then you know the person that you're going to network with. And now intellectual property, like I said, usually in the mind of people are two types. One is a genuine intellectual property, which is something that, it's something really an intellectual property. In that case, you should not share it at all, because you can't share something which is intellectual property. The second thing is what I actually told some time back, and it happens with people, and it's glad that somebody was open to talk about it, is I feel it is an intellectual property. Okay, that I have certain knowledge that I have certain access of things that I want, and I don't want to give it to too many people, because then they might get used. Today, let me tell you one thing. If there is an intellectual property that is available, it's not only yours, it's there with everyone. Okay, and this is something that even I learned from one of my bosses at some point of time. A lot of us try to look at this unique thing that I can offer. Okay, what is that something unique I can offer? And they keep talking about this. What is a unique skill that you have over your other peers? Or there is nothing that you have unique. Let's be very frank. It's just that to use it, it becomes unique, and the other person doesn't use it, it's not unique. That's the only thing. It's about how much if I have moved first among the other 10 people, it becomes unique to me. It doesn't mean that the skill is unique to you. So that's the whole point. So intellectual property, if it is true intellectual property, in many ways one should not share it. And intellectual property, which is things like I have access to an article which could be great, and if I share it, maybe many people can use it, and I want to use it to my advantage. If that's an article available, then many people will anyways have access to it. So that's the way I would put it up.
Yeah, thanks, Deepak. Viraj and Kuldeep both are together asking a very similar question, that we get nervous when we are approaching someone for networking. And the more senior someone is, the less likely that we will have something to give them. So I think we've covered it, Deepak, if you want to add more.
So I will only tell you one thing. The power of no is something that one should learn while taking or while giving. And that's the number one, it's a very, very important skill to be built when you want to grow up. The power of no, which is to listen to a no, and which is also to tell no. Both are very, very difficult skills. But what is the worst that's going to happen when you go and network someone? The person may not be interested, right? That nothing is going to happen beyond that. You're not going to lose life. You're not going to have, nothing is going to change in your life other than the fact that the person didn't give time to you. In fact, me and Debojit were speaking some days back, and he was telling me that I reached out to someone and who did not reply back to me. It's okay, but that doesn't stop you from replying or reaching out to more people. It's okay. That's the power of taking no. You'll have to build that skill, and also the power of telling no. Once when your network, you may also not want to crowd your network. So at some point of time, you may also have to say no, and people may send you 2,000 requests and say that everybody is expected to network. Then you'll have to figure out whom you may say no to. So it's okay. I think you'll have to deal with that thing no.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree. Nervousness, guys, again, I'm repeating, comes in when you think you're asking for a favor. Get that out of your mind. Lakshmi asks how to make new connections with people on LinkedIn, how to take initiative in making a good contact. Lakshmi, I think very clearly you have to be clear in your mind about the value you are providing in that relationship or conversation. It always helps to leave a note rather than just sending a request. And in that note, have that 1 minute pitch clear, that who are you, why are you here, and what are you bringing on the table. And therefore, how can being a mutual connect helps. If there is a past story or history that you can draw to that person, that I have worked here and I have an experience here, which is connected to you because you have also worked or you know this person, that also helps. Rather than sending an absolutely fresh request, rather than a request, it should be more a mutual discussion that you are having with that person, which normally always helps. Minal Patil asks Deepak, is it okay just to leverage with one network platform if I don't have enough time to manage so many others?
So again, what Debojit said is a true thing, but what I do is I usually stick only to LinkedIn. I don't use much of Facebook. And Instagram is only for my close group. So hence it's only, I stick to that. But having said the same thing, it's about the work and the business that you're doing. Suppose I'm in the business of selling shoes and I'm in the business of selling something, or I'm in a startup space where I deal with consumers directly and stuff. I feel being on Facebook will help. It's not that it doesn't aid you in your business and in your network. It does aid. So it's just your personal choice, like what is more priority for you and what is not. I also deal with Twitter. So it's up to you what you want to do. And some of y'all may have to choose what's in it for you. So there are too many of them today, right? And this is only going to add up more and more, all this social media thing. But one will have to make the conscious choices what's in it for you.
Yeah, last question. I'll take the last question from Gaurav. And guys, all the other questions I will post on my LinkedIn profile and answer them, whatever we could not answer. Deepak and I both will answer your questions there. Gaurav asks, do you think extrovert people has the quality of street smartness and therefore network better than introverts? What's your input?
So I disagree with that. And I disagree with that. There is enough study today to even prove that there was a time long back where extroverts used to be only the leaders, but today that's not the case. I feel that what you bring onto the table with your thought process and depth is a lot more important than, and it's not fair to say that introverts are not street smart. Like I said, that's the only difference is their source of energy. They're equally street smart. They're equally, they get everything in place. In fact, I would have to say that they may be a notch better. Though I call myself an extrovert, but I think introverts are a lot more better in many things. So I disagree that street smartness itself. I don't think so that an introvert is less street smart than an extrovert.
Thanks, Deepak. It's been an amazing session. A lot of learning personally for me, and I'm sure the audience would have picked up also significant learnings. Also, we had 200 plus people attending the session and taking value. It was amazing having you, Deepak, and look forward to many more support in the journey of Crack together. Guys, yeah, Deepak.
Absolutely, Debojit. Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. It's always good to learn from both sides. I had great learnings too, including the questions. A lot of those questions were learning for me too. And like I said, networking is not one side. So even I mean, every time that I speak to someone, I get great learning from that too. So look forward and to the success of Crackhead as well as to you, Debojit.
Thanks, Deepak. Guys, so we covered what role does IQ and EQ play to reach a certain position in life. And as I was mentioning in the last session, the last battle or the last struggle moving from let's say a CXO to a CEO position, even their network plays a critical role. As I was talking to a very senior guy in the industry, he was saying, boss, CXO tak to ban jaoge, but if you have to take the last step, which is the CEO step, I think your network will come in as the most handy factor, because that's where the critical thing happens. But the question is, even after you become the CEO of an organization and achieve, let's say, your dream and passion, is it enough to remain happy? And is it enough to reach peace in your life? And that's where we are going to take the next session for Cracked, which is session number 9, which is next Saturday. For the first time to on the Cracked platform, this will be a workshop where we will be taking the session on practicing mindfulness. Now, this is a session where we'll have a live workshop where we'll have our guest speaker, Gauri Rangnecker. She is a founder for an organization called Zen Your Way. She's a mindfulness coach herself, an NLP practitioner, a meditation facilitator, an emotional counselor, as well as she's a program advisor for SDF Bocconi. She'll join us live, guys, on that day in order to take a live session for meditation and mindfulness that will help all of us understand our stress areas in life and therefore work with it in order to become better and better and handling our success and failures better. So all the success will taste sweet if you are in complete control of ourselves. So look forward to the next week's session also and seeing all of you for the Cracked platform. Thanks once again, Deepak, for joining us. And thank you all of you, the audience, for joining us. Without you, the Cracked doesn't exist. So thanks. See you next Saturday at 12 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you so much.